Hello, New Prospect. Welcome to RTB 2021 once again, and we're on January 4th. And just as we've been doing for the first 3 days of the year, we've been reading through four books: Genesis, Ezra, Matthew, and Acts, and we're in chapter 4 of all four of those books. And so let's make some just brief comments on each one. Of course, Genesis 4 is the story of Cain and Abel, and we can learn much in that story about human nature. We can also learn something about the grace of God. We can learn something about the insidiousness of sin and how it pervades very quickly and infects very quickly the human race. We can learn something about the nature of even sacrifice in Genesis 4. Then in Ezra, we have the story of how humanity is once again infected with the disease of sin, as we see people opposing the rebuilding of the temple. Those who were living in Judea at the time were not too thrilled that the Jewish people who had returned from exile were rebuilding the temple, and so there's this opposition, and it halts the rebuilding of the temple for a while. And then, of course, in Matthew, we have some great texts about the temptation of Jesus and the calling of the 12 disciples. That is very specific on Matthew's part. Matthew is showing a number of things there. I think sometimes when we read the story of the temptation of Jesus, we again tend to just take it as an example text for us, but it's so much more than that. What Jesus is showing when he goes to the wilderness for 40 days and he succeeds in the face of temptation, by quoting scripture, quoting from the book of Deuteronomy, he's doing what Israel could not do. Jesus is showing that he is the true Israel. And then by calling 12 disciples, 12 tribes, right? He is creating a new people. And the way to be part of that new people of God is to be part of Jesus. So also very significant text. But I want to spend just a bit of time talking about the text from Acts today. In Acts 4, we have this wonderful account of Peter and John before the council. They have been arrested, of course, for preaching Jesus. And then they state in verse 12, this is the reason why they're preaching him, that there is salvation in no one else. There's no other name under heaven given among men by which we must be saved. And then they try to get them to stop once again. And Peter and John both answer, and they said, whether it is right, this is verse 19, whether it is right in the sight of God to listen to you, or rather to God than to God, you must judge. For we cannot but speak of what we have seen and heard. Sometimes I think one of the best ways of studying scripture is just finding a text within the scripture, memorizing it. Something like this would be very easy to memorize, and just chewing on it for the rest of the day. So here's my encouragement for you today. Take this text here in verse 19, where it says that Peter and John say, for we cannot help but speak what we have seen and heard, and meditate on that. Think about that onus, that impetus that salvation created in them, that they felt so strongly about what Christ had done for them, that they could not help but speak it. And as we go out today and we interact with people, if you have that opportunity, or even if you just have opportunities to call people on the phone, use that opportunity to give yourself an opportunity to share what Christ has done for you. Because if Christ has done for you what he has done for me, what he's done for so many at New Prospect, what he did for Peter and John, we cannot help but speak what he has done for us. And let us have that kind of desire, that kind of passion for sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ with those we encounter today. Take that text, chew on it, allow the Spirit to speak to you through that text, and see what happens in your life. I hope you have a wonderful day today.